There are a lot of viable ways to build your Guardian in Destiny 2, but everyone has a build that they consider their favorite. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite builds for the Warlock Stormcaller. Let's get started. In RPG games, I've always enjoyed characters that have pets. In Destiny 2, the closest thing to a pet you can have is the Arc Soul, also known as the Arc Buddy. And today's build is pushing the Arc Buddy to supernatural levels. To do this, we're going to start with the Getaway Artist Exotic Gloves. These gloves allow you to consume your grenade to create a supercharged Arc Soul that lasts for 20 seconds and fires at nearby targets for the duration. The Getaway Artist also has a hidden effect that causes Arc Soul hits to restore grenade energy. What's cool about this exotic is that it also enhances the power of the Arc Soul generated by a healing rift when used with the attunement of the elements. The tooltip doesn't call a rift-made Arc Soul supercharged or sentient, but you'll notice that it fires 5 bolts per volley instead of the usual 3. Additionally, you can refresh the 20-second timer on your supercharged Arc Soul by stepping into an Arc Soul rift. With all of that in mind, we're going to pair the Getaway Artist with the attunement of elements, so my healing rift will refresh the duration of my supercharged Arc Soul. To get a higher uptime on the rift, my armor has 3 Paragon mods to reduce its cooldown. The final 2 mod slots are for grenade mods to make it a bit easier for my Arc Soul hits to fully restore my grenade. For armor perks on gloves, I have Impact Induction. Melee hits reduce the grenade cooldown. And for class item, I have Innervation. Picking up Orbs of Light reduces the grenade cooldown. Both of these perks will work in tandem with the melee ability for the Attunement of Elements, which on hit reduces the grenade and melee cooldown and grants bonus super energy. With all of this in our kit, it'll be easy for us to keep a 100% uptime on our Arc Soul, which will help out with ad clearing. Weapon selection for this loadout is all preferential, but if you want to double down on your grenade restoration capabilities, you can find a primary weapon with Demolitionist. Demolitionist grants grenade energy whenever you kill an enemy. For my loadout, I'm using the Trackless Waste submachine gun as my kinetic weapon, the Loaded Question fusion rifle for my special weapon, and the Anarchy grenade launcher for my heavy weapon. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's get to the field for some testing. Alright folks, for today's testing we're doing the Pyramidion Nightfall Strike. This Nightfall can be a bit difficult, especially when you're going in solo like we're doing today, but the Arc Soul is going to improve our neutral game, so we should be okay. I'll try not to die. So, as we jump into the first engagement, I'm going to eat the grenade straight away, and the Arc Soul is going to start pumping out some extra damage. Before I capture this objective though, I'm going to move on to the next batch of enemies, the Arc Soul continuing to work. Its damage output is very respectable, honestly. For what it is, it's a set it and forget it ability. The damage output is nice. Now, I was trying to catch the supercharged Arc Soul before it fizzled out with my healing rift, but unfortunately I was a little bit slow, and now I just have the basic Arc Soul timer. Now, it is still a supercharged Arc Soul, even though it doesn't say that it is, but the cooldown, or the duration of the ability when I leave the rift is only 12 seconds as opposed to the full 20 seconds that you get on the supercharged Arc Soul. So ideally, you want to juggle your abilities in a way that you always have the supercharged Arc Soul buff, because it lasts longer than the Arc Soul buff granted by the healing rift. Now, I almost ate a grenade there, and that would have been a little bit of a waste because there are no enemies out on the field. And ideally, what you want to do is try to only consume grenades when you know you're about to enter a lengthy bit of combat. So like right now, we've got a lot of enemies, and we're also going to take some pretty heavy damage from these goblins. So I'm going to put down a rift so that I can always go back to it if I need to, also to refresh the cooldown of the Arc Soul. It'll stay at 20 seconds as long as I'm standing in the rift. Once the rift disappears, the cooldown will start ticking down a little bit. Got a lot of enemies here. I think I probably have enough time on my cooldown so that I can throw that grenade out, use the melee ability to reduce the cooldown of the grenade slightly, and the grenade should be ready before the Arc Soul wears off. Just about at the exact moment, but I'm not going to eat another one because this encounter is almost done. We've only got a few more enemies to clear out, and there we go. So it's just a matter of trying to juggle your cooldowns so that you always have that grenade ready, using them in a way that you never want to be at without your Arc Buddy, because the Arc Buddy is the whole purpose of the build. It's also pretty good at dealing with shielded enemies, even if they aren't arc shields, which is nice. Now, we did lose it there, but our melee ability was ready. That, coupled with impact induction, is going to get a very hefty chunk of our grenade energy back, so we can reactivate our grenade moving into the next encounter. Now, we've got some hobgoblins over there, and my loadout does not have a lot of range, and I don't really want to die here, so I'm just going to activate my super in order to deal with this. This is going to make the next encounter a little bit difficult because I'm not going to have my... Alright, well, that was awkward. Come on. The next encounter is going to be a little bit difficult because I'm not going to have my super, but I suppose this will be a good opportunity to show off the neutral game granted by the Arc Soul. So we've got some high up enemies with arc shields. We got a bunch of goblins on the ground level. Let's go ahead and eat our grenade and start working. I'm gonna have to put down a rift because I'm taking a lot of damage, and I'm gonna try and stay in this for as long as possible. Let's switch over to the loaded question to get some big burst of damage, and I'll throw out a grenade because I am in the rift, so I have the maximum duration of my Arc Soul, and I don't need to worry about the cooldowns while I'm standing in the rift. Alright, rift is gone. We're going to move our position, pick up some of the orbs that we generated. I'll throw that grenade, that's fine. Because I do have my melee, but I'm missing out on some shots here. Let's go get that melee. We're probably going to be without our Arc Soul for a little while. But I do have my super, so we've timed it pretty well. So let's do that and clear out some of these bad guys. These void shields are going to be a bit problematic. The tickle fingers, not the strongest super in the game. Now, before I put down my rift, I want to eat my grenade, because the thing that you've got to remember for this setup is that the Arc Souls generated by your rift have a maximum duration of 12 seconds, and the supercharged Arc Soul, or the sentient Arc Soul, excuse me, has a maximum duration of 20 seconds. So before you activate a rift, you ideally want to consume a grenade. And here we go, we're almost done with the Nightfall. Just got a few more rooms to clear out, and then the boss, which I kind of don't want to fight, but I guess I'll do it. But that's the gist of the build, though. You've seen pretty much everything that it has to offer. It's got great damage output for what it is. It's a set it and forget it ability. Once you call it out, you don't have to think about it, and it's just going to increase your damage output. And also, if you're playing with a group and you're using the Attunement of Elements, then you're getting even more damage from it, because the Arc Souls, whenever your teammates step into a rift, they're also going to get Arc Souls attached to them. I just died twice. I don't have my grenade, but I do have my rift. So I can activate my rift, and the Arc Soul hits from the rift are going to recharge my grenade. Unfortunately, we've got some void shields here, and I don't have any void damage in my loadout, so those shields are going to be a little bit annoying to break. But we can just kind of brute force it with the Arc Souls, and if we really are having trouble with it, we can use the loaded question and just dump truck on them, and there's really no way they can survive that. Now, my loadout is very limited on range, so those hobgoblins up there are going to be a little bit problematic, but the loaded question can kind of brute force them a little bit. I'm not going to worry about getting the perk activation on them because they die from a single hit. Unfortunately, I was out of range there and I missed a lot of my projectile shots. Let's activate our Arc Soul. Loaded question these boys. Me and the boys when we have void shields. Am I right? Ooh, taking a lot of damage. Let's go ahead and rift up for some protection. A lot of times when I do these testing videos, I try not to use too much heavy ammo because I play solo Nightfalls with heavyweight, which increases the damage of heavy ammo and the rate at which you acquire it. And I could very easily trivialize the Nightfall if I just spam my heavy ammo for every encounter, and I don't want to do that. I want to show off the neutral game potential of the build as much as possible. Alright, now we cleared out a lot of those enemies with our super, but it ran out at a pretty bad time, but thankfully we had our rift, so we were able to cover ourselves a little bit. But this is one of the more difficult sections to deal with without heavy ammo, so I don't feel too bad about using it here. Alright, our rift is gone, so we're gonna have to move around a little bit. We got one more hobgoblin up there. Let's take him out, and let's try to pull into some cover to let our shields come back. Our Arc Soul from the rift is down, but we can go ahead and eat a grenade to get another one. The boys over there hanging out with their void shields causing me problems. Let's kill them before the shields come back, and there we go. 9 seconds left on the Arc Soul. I'm not going to worry about refreshing it because we're almost at the boss, so I'm not really going to need it for the rest of this area. Okay, well, I just died from a really annoying Axion dart. And I'm not going to do that again because I'm a little bit salty about that. The boss fight is just more ads, and I think at this point you get the picture. The Sentient Arc Soul, as it's called in the on-screen tooltip, or the Supercharged Arc Soul, as it's called in the tooltip on the Getaway Artist Exotic Gloves, is very powerful. It improves your neutral game significantly. Its damage output is very respectable, and it will improve your killing potential by a lot. It'll help you shred through major enemies if you pair it with a consistent primary weapon like an auto rifle or a submachine gun. You can just blast away with those two things firing in tandem. The Arc Soul plus an auto rifle will melt most major enemies without you having to break a sweat. And then if you're playing with a group, you put down your healing rift, and that will give Arc Souls to all of your teammates. If you're in a 6-man, that's 6 more Arc Souls firing away at an enemy. That's increased damage output. If you're playing in the Nightfall with a group of 3, hey, that's still 3 Arc Souls firing away, and that's still more damage, and more damage is more better, it's more good. So, you know, I like it. This is a really fun way to play. If you enjoy having an autonomous turret following you around like a drone, it's very satisfying. It's an enjoyable way for me to play the game, and I do find it effective. I've used it in the Menagerie all this week, especially because it's an Arc Singe this week. It's been very effective there. On this Nightfall strike that I was doing today, I was not playing with an Arc Singe or any Singe, so there was no bonus damage going on, and it was still ripping and tearing through red bars and major enemies alike. Didn't get to see it on a boss, but the damage is still respectable. It is what it is. But with all of that said, yeah, definitely I would 100% recommend the Getaway Artist. This is one of the best Warlock exotics in the game, but if you're looking for something specifically for the Stormcaller, it's phenomenal. It is a fantastic way to improve your neutral game. and it's very satisfying. So with all of that said, we're going to wrap this up by saying if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to support the channel more than you already do, just by watching, liking, subscribing, and of course commenting, you can head over to patreon.com/iBluairJgR to become a patron. As always, the name of the game is Destiny 2, the name of the channel is iBluairJgR. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.